Well, hello. This is Rosa, RCG Creations. How are you doing? We are going to be pressure canning a roast. This is it's from Tyson, bone-in fresh pork shoulder picnic roast. You know what? It doesn't say how much does it weigh, but it's a big one. It's my first time doing pressure canning a roast. I pressure cans all kind of other stuff, but this is my first time doing a roast. Nowhere on here does it say what size it is. Okay, but I'm gonna take it out of the package, and I'm using my little Pampered Chef cutting board that has a little tray divot for the juices, because you can see all the juices are in here. Oh, let me turn my video off. That's what I was watching. And I like to watch videos or listen to music when I'm just sitting here doing prepping or preparing or whatever it is that I'm doing. Okay, you want to get yourself a bowl for the fat, because you want to remove as much of the fat as possible, because we're pressure canning it. But you still want it. You're gonna have to have some fat in the meat. That's just part of the flavor. But you want to remove as much as you can. Okay. I'm going to try, if I can, save all these juices inside the bag so I have less cleanup. And this is why I'm using a knife. Some scissors instead of a knife. Get my knife out of the way. You're going to need a debubble, but I'm going to slice it all up first, and then I'm going to put it in my jars. Oh man, it's a big chunk. Oh good, I was able to save the juices with a plastic container. And then I'm going to use the same thing now. You can save your fat if you're going to tender the fat, but I don't know how to do that, and I have nowhere to do it. I don't know how to store it, and I haven't even prepared or done any research, so I'm not doing it. My fat's just going to go in the garbage with the rest of that. Now there's a bone. I don't know where it is. I can feel it. It's over here on this edge. See? You can see the bone right there? And I got a towel that I'm going to get yucky because it's going to go in the washer as soon as I'm done. So, everything that I've been reading, basically, you just slice it. Thank you, hubby, for sharpening my knife. It's nice and sharp. And you just want to cube it. There's a bone right there. And I don't want to dull my knife by cutting into the bone. And since I don't know what I'm doing. See, there's a little chunk, but I think it's a little too big. So about that size is from all the things that I saw, Google and YouTube. Pretty much all of them were about this size. And that's going to be my bowl for the meat. And you put it, basically I'm going to go ahead and tell you exactly how to do it. You cut it all up in your pieces. Well, this is too big. Cut it up into your pieces. You put them in your jars. You wipe your jars with vinegar soaked paper towel, and wipe the rims, because this has got a bunch of fat on it, and you'd have no way of knowing if you've got fat on your rims, and that'll prevent the lid from sealing. So then you do that. Then you wipe your rims with a vinegar soaked towel, paper towel. Then you put your lid on, then you put your ring on, fingertip tight. Then you put them in your canner, and you're going to pressure can them for 75 minutes. I think it's 75 minutes. I'll put it in the pop-up box, and of course everything will be also in the description box. So, let's get back to slicing. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to slice. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, because this is going to be a part how-to can and how to do the roast together. So I want to try to stay under my 15-minute time frame that I give myself. So all I want to do now is just cut it up. So you don't need to see me do that, because you just saw what I just did. So I'll bring you back. Okay, we're back. It took a while to chop up that meat. In fact, I'm going to show you. This is the bone that's left, and I cut as much as I could off. So I'm just going to put this in the freezer, and then I'm going to save it when I'm going to make a bone broth. Because even though it was one, y'all saw how big that pork roast was. That was a big one. And I was really surprised, but it's pork, so there's a lot of fat in it. And there's a lot of fat you got to cut off. So that's just the way it is, and that's the prices right now with the economy the way it is. So now I'm soaking my brand new paper towel, clean paper towel in vinegar, white vinegar, because there's oils from the pork. And then what you want to do, I'm just going to fold this a little bit here. You want to wipe the rims in case you accidentally got some oils on there. And yes, I do recycle my lids. I keep a little notch on there. Tells me I try to do only 2, sometimes 3. There's been a couple times I've done 3, and I was like, what? I did 3? That was surprising me that I did 3, but I did. And so far, I've had no broken seals, no failures. They still have sealed. Oh, and I gave yourself a 1-inch headspace. This is 1 inch. And it's going to make its own juices. And keep in mind, every single jar, even on the same batch, is going to have a different variety amount of juice. It doesn't matter. Some may be down to here, some may be in the middle, some may be all the way to the top. It's just the amount of fat in each piece of the meat, and you just never know because you can't predict that. And fingertip tight for me is my middle finger and my thumb. And that's as far as I go for middle tight. I want to use this because these lids have never been used. Oops, I almost put it on top without cleaning my rack. And I like to flip my towel around after each jar, just to make sure there's no oils on this towel, this portion of the towel, that will transfer over to the other one. And since we're not going to be giving any of this, because this is meat, this is something that we're keeping for our family, me and hubby, I'm not giving them away. I'm not too worried about how pretty they look, the jars and all that, because it's just going to be for us here. I'm hoping one of these we're going to be making, you can make pork tacos, you can make carnitas. Oh, that's got a little bit of, see, I'm going to show you. If it has a little rust in there, you don't really want to use those because those can compromise your seal. So this is going to be a dehydrated. And I have a baggie that I do recycle my grocery bags. I put them on there, dehydrate only. I save these so when I'm dehydrating. Now all these jars here have been, oh, there's already a jar on there. And then we're going to put this in a cold canner. I'm going to go get myself another lid. And then I'll bring you back when I put them into the canner. Okay? Because this is going to be kind of a canning session also. We'll bring you back. Okay, we're back. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jars. Here's my 6th jar. They're in my canner here. I got them evenly spaced. This is my little jar of vinegar that I use with my paper towel. I'm putting this back in my water. That just helps keep the outside of the jar in case anything does siphon from getting all cloudy. And you gotta go to just get a wet soapy towel, a hot wet soapy towel, and wipe them down before you put them in your pantry. But you want to do that anyway for any canning session. Okay, let me bring you up so you could see what the canner looks like. So there's all my jars. Okay. Now I'm using, trying not to move you too much, the All-American canner. And with the All-American canner, you are supposed to put a little bit of Vaseline on the inside lip, right in the little corner edge right in here. You'll see that right there. In fact, let me bring you up close because this is part of a training. This little lip right here. Okay. Then on the inside of your lid, you put it right out here on the outside, that little area right there. Let me see that. You can see that. That little area right here. Okay? Then there's a little notch. There's a notch right here on the canter, and there's an arrow. You want to turn it to where the arrow faces the notch. And this is the time when you want to double check it to make sure that it's equal seal shut. Then you do your knobs across from each other. Don't make them really tight at first, because you may have to remove these and tighten them again, make it level. Okay, so you just want to make them snug. Okay, then you want to look, and you want to make sure that you got the seal here and here is equal, which, let me break. You see this little sealer in here all the way around? That's the part that you want to make sure, this seal right here. I can touch this because this is cold, because we started, if you work with cold food, cold water, cold canner. Hot food, hot liquid, hot canner. So I can touch this because it hasn't come on yet. Now we can tighten it up. And you want to tighten again across from each other. And the person that's going to open it up is the person that needs to seal it. Sometimes I have hubby help me, and I can't open it because he's so much more stronger than me. And you want to tighten them as tight as you can. And you always want to double check to make sure that the measurements are even. You want your canner to be even on your heat source. And I'm lucky enough we have a gas stove. That was one of the things we were looking for, because I knew a water bath can, but I wanted a gas stove. I didn't want a glass top. And I didn't want electric. Okay, so we're pretty level now because this is cold. Oh, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get my heat on. I'm going to put it on 9. My highest is high, so it goes from low, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, and then high. So this can start to warm up. Once it starts to warm up, this steamer is going to blow out some steam. It's going to come here and there and here and there and here and there. And I'll bring you back to that phase too. But when it comes to a solid steam, oh, let me put my air vent. When it comes to a solid steam, once it's a solid steam, you set your timer for 10 minutes. Once the 10 minutes is up, then you'll hit your weight that you're going to put on. And there's little holes here based on the number depending on your altitude. There's 5, 10, 15. We're in South Texas, so we're going to be on 10. And then you would put it like that. Okay? But I'll bring you to that phase when we get there, because this is really more of a canning session, but we're also going to be pressure canning a pork shoulder roast. That's going to make some good eating, some good lunches. With this little, since it only did, I'm really, really surprised that, because I got 24 jars ready, cleaned and washed, sanitized, because I thought I was going to be able to do double stacking. That didn't happen. So y'all saw the size of hunk of meat. I wanted you to see that from the very beginning. And this is all I got. The rest was nothing but fat. Hubby threw that away because he didn't like it sitting around in the house, so he double bagged it. And then double bagged it and double bagged it again, and then put it in a garbage can so it can go out in the trash can, because our trash don't come for about 3 more days before our trash can comes. So, and that gets smells. So anyway, oh, you know what? He didn't put it in the trash can. He put it in the fridge so we can take it out. He can take it out because he does the trash. I don't do trash. He does trash. And he can take it out on the night before and put it in the trash for the trash man to come, because they come early in the morning. So we're going to let this come up to pressure. And this particular is an All-American, and this is the model 921 pressure cooker. They have all different kinds of sizes. Check out their website. They also have the Presto, which is a little bit different. If you can get one with the gauge, try to get one with the cage. If you can't, just use what you got. It doesn't really make a bit of difference. A good place to go get these is at Goodwill, a thrift store, because you can get these very inexpensively. These babies are the top of the line, and they're like pretty pricey. I don't know. I'm gonna tell you, the cheapest one is over $150. Okay, and they go up. And right now, the economy the way it is, they're even higher. And when COVID first hit, it took people almost 8 months to a year before their order, you had to pre-order it, would come in, because because of manufacturing. So right now we're having manufacturing issues. So if you can go to some garage sales, go to thrift stores, and see if you can find yourself a pressure canner, even if it's an old one, like 100 years old, grab it, because as long as there's no holes in it and it's pretty solid, you can put it back together, use it, clean it, and you can start using it. And you can even buy the parts, because you can buy all these little parts come on there that you can buy them. Now over here, let me show you, because we're waiting for the canner to come to steam, come to pressure. There's a little knob right here, and then there is I'll put in the description box, I forget the names of all this stuff, but I have it all written down. And then there's my gauge. I'm going to make sure you can see that. Yeah, there's my little gauge. Okay, and there it is. I got the 921. I got the 921 because I've tried a friend of mine. She let me borrow a hose for about 2 weeks. And she had the bigger one. But I'm so short, I'm only 5 foot. I could barely reach this one on the bottom of the jars. I was burning my arms, and I'm a chunky girl, and that's just the way it is. So I was burning my arms, and I would put a towel here, but then it would fall as I was moving in and out, and I would burn myself. So I ended up purchasing, and I'm very happy because this does have the other rack, so I can double stack the small little pint jars. I can do double layer. I could do these. This is a wide mouth pint jars is what I used. Let me show you. So here's your wide mouth. It's got a wider mouth. Here's your button. They call them a metal button lid. You can buy them from all different kind of manufacturers. Do your own research. Find out which is best for you. I personally like Ball and Carr. I've also got some off-brand ones, but they were referred by 2 other YouTubers who love them. And I've actually used them, and I care for them, but I only got 4 because I just wanted to try them out. I didn't want to get a big order. But so far they've been working good. Then you just put your lid on your jar. Then you put your ring on. And then again, like I was saying, you close it. Then you just, the middle finger and your thumb, fingertip tight. As far as it can go, that's it, without straining. You don't want to strain. And that's it, it's sealed. Now, these are my tattlers. Or you can use, they're called tattlers or reusable lids. There's 2 of them out there. Actually, the father owns Tattler, the son created the reusable lids. They're exactly the same, but his come in red or white or regular mouth. And what you do is you get your little rubber ring. This you could use over and over and over and over and over and over. I still like to, this one doesn't have it, but when I remember, I put a black Sharpie on here that tells me how many times this ring's been used. Typically, you only want to use it like 13, 15 times. Then it begins old and it won't keep your seal. This, don't ever throw it away. It's forever. Forever. Almost indestructible. But of course, it's some kind of hard plastic. Then but you got to boil both of these in hot water. With the new manufacturers from Ball, you don't have to boil their lids. The other ones, I don't know. But this one, you don't have to boil balls. So you put this in boiling water, and then just before you put it on your jar, that's when you take it out with some tongs. This is hot, and you put your ring on your lid, and then you put it on your jar of food. And then you do, this is reusable and tattlers. Put one finger here. You're going to close it. I know you can kind of sort of see it. One finger there, and then once it starts moving, let me bring you down. Let's see if I can get you down here some. Okay. Once it starts to move like this, the minute it starts to move, you stop. Let go. Don't work tightening no more. That's sealed. Then you put it in your canner. The minute you get it out of the canner, and I'm talking about here, you've got your canner tongs. It's boiling water, dripping, and it's hot, and I will show you all this. You put it down, grab yourself a dishcloth, towel, because this is burning up hot. Hold it with one hand. Don't pick it up, just hold it. And then tighten this as tight as you can do it. Now, when it's cooling off, it's going to have a good seal. And I will bring in and I'll show you that when we get to that phase. But now in this particular batch, I didn't use any of my tattlers because I really thought I was going to have a lot more meat than I did. So I ended up just using all metal. And I'm pretty sure I don't have a canning video already showing how to do tattlers and stuff. But basically what I just showed you is how you use them. So now I'm going to go clean up my mess while I'm waiting for this to steam up. And I'll bring you back when we get to that steaming phase, and I'll bring you to the next phase thereafter, okay? So more than likely this is going to be longer than 15-minute video because I want you to know from beginning to end how to pressure can anything, because it's the same, from here on it's the same steps. What you put in your product, that's what's going to be different, and how long you process is going to be based on your product. So make sure you follow your recipe exactly. And then this one is your 1-inch headspace. And I have a couple of these. You can get this in any canning good. And I write my marker. This is what I use to know how much water to put in my pressure canner. Okay, 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch. These have little markings here. So right here is your 1 inch. This next one, I gotta put my glasses on so I can't see for nothing. Whew, I almost lost my jar. That would have been bad. Okay, so this next one is, it goes in 1, 3/4, 1/2, and 1/4. So there's your 1 inch, which as you can see is the bottom rim right here. This is a 1 inch right there. So that's the 1 inch one. Okay, then you got your 3/4, which is just like in between these two right here, these two rings. Then you've got your, what's the next one? 1/2. Okay, and that 1/2 is right here. Then you've got your 1/4, and 1/4 is just above this little ring right in here is your 1/4. See, can you see that? Oh, that don't work either. Okay, but that's how you know your measurements. So if you don't have one of these little tools, get yourself one, because it's a double duty. You could also use this bottom half to put in your jars whenever you have something that says you got to debubble. Okay, so if you have to debubble, just put this in here. Now this one I don't use for that because it's got a marker, and I don't know, I have no idea if it does or not, but I ain't taking any chances because I got like 3 or 4 of these. It doesn't hurt you to have extra. And this was only to measure my water and my canner of what I'm doing, because I use the same bottom canner for pressure canning, but I also use the whole same canner for water bath. Now I have a great big water bath canner, but sometimes I do need both of them. So this doubles as a pressure canner and a water bath canner. I just never seal it because it's only going to be water bath. You just need a lid. You don't need to have it sealed. So that's going to be another video. Okay, so we'll bring you back when we get to the steam part so you'll know what the next phase is. Okay, we are back. The timer has gone off. So now, I'm a weakling, so I'm getting my tongs. I've got my number 10, and I'm putting it on whatever that little thing is called. Now, I'm setting, leave your tongs out because you're going to need them again. This is going to start to jiggle. This is going to, the temperature gauge is going to go up. And mine is 250 is my, no, 240 is my gauge because of my latitude, which it says 240, and then that's 10 pounds of pressure. You got 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 pounds of pressure depending on where you're at. You probably don't want to go more than 20 on the, this little weight thing is only goes 5, 10, and 15 because it does have a caution thing here. Let me show you. See, it says caution 20 and then 30. Okay, so that dial is going to move up. Okay, and as you can see, it's starting to go up already. So once I hit the 10, 240, that's going to know. But you've also got another thing. This is going to start to jiggle. Once it starts to jiggle, okay, that means you're coming close to 10 pounds of pressure. Once you hit 10 pounds of pressure, that's when you set your timer for your processing time. Okay, and again, it's a watch your recipe, because whatever it is that's in the canner, you gotta watch your recipe for the processing time. So now we're just gonna sit and wait. It's probably gonna take maybe 10, 15 minutes, and every oven's different. Whatever's in your product is different because it depends on the jars, regular mouth, wide mouth, how much water you got in there, the whole thing. So you can kind of guess, and after a while of doing this, you'll know roughly how long it takes. So this is the time that from here on in, you need to be near this. You don't have to be here hovering it, but you need to be able to hear it and be able to come over here and check to make sure. You don't want to go over your 10 pounds of pressure because we're doing 10 pounds. And you don't want to go too far below. You want to make it nice and steady. With time, probably after 2 or 3 sessions, you're going to know your sweet spot on your burner. Like on my burner, when I go to 6, that's my sweet spot. Which means if I leave it at 6, this is going to stay at 10 pounds of pressure the entire time. And it's not going to go up and down, up and down, up and down. But until you learn it, you are going to have to monitor this. So you need to sit here. Actually, the first 2 times I did it, I had a chair right here, and I sat and I looked. So all I did was, I was just gazing right on it. I was watching my little jiggler, my weight, jiggle, so I would know. And then throughout the entire processing time, this is going to jiggle, then it's going to stop, and then it's going to jiggle, and then it's going to stop. And that's what you want it to do. Okay? So we'll bring you back when we go to that next phase, which is when we're going to start to hear the jiggler. Well, we're back, and I spoke too soon. It was less than 5 minutes. It's already starting to jiggle. You hear that? Now that's a slow, steady jiggle. So now I need to set my timer for my processing time. So I'm going to go ahead and set my timer, process. I will be putting pop-up boxes here and there in the video, and everything will be in the description box. So let me set my timer for that so we can get rolling to process. Okay, the timer's gone off. Processing time is over with. You turn the heat off. Leave it all alone. Don't touch anything else. When this comes down to 0, for this pressure canner, it's roughly 20-25 minutes. When this comes to 0, okay, then you take the weight off. Use your tongs because it's going to be hot. Then you set your timer for 10 minutes. After the 10 minutes is over with, this will still remain at 0. Then you can undo your knobs, and we're going to go to the next phase. Okay? This is just one way of doing it. Again, it depends on your canner. Read your manual instructions. So we'll bring you back when this is totally at 0, and then we can take the weight off. Okay, we are back. This is at 0. I'm taking my weight off. Totally done with these. I can put them away. I'm going to let this vent for 5 minutes. Anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. And that's just to let all the steam naturally come out of here. Then, at that time, I will release these knobs 2 at a time, opposite ends, and then I will open it up, remove the lid, and then we'll remove the jars. We'll bring you back. Okay, we're ready to undo the lid. I'm gonna get me a pot holder. Okay. First I just loosen them. Ooh, don't touch that, that's hot. I said it was hot. I don't have enough strength. Oh, actually, it popped right out. Yay, this is my first time since I've had this canner, which I've had about almost 2 years now, that I opened it up as soon and I'm putting it in the sink till it cools off. That was my first time I've opened it without having to pry it open with a screwdriver, because I don't have enough grip to get it to do that. So let's see how it came out. Oh, nice. Let me show you close up. Yum, 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 yum. I'm thinking the first time I'm going to do with this is I'm going to make some pork tacos. We're probably going to have some of that for supper tomorrow night. Oh, wait a minute. That won't be tomorrow night. I'll be at a crop that I host once a month. So we'll probably have these for Monday night. I like to leave my jars spaced out with about that much gap in between, so they have plenty of air circulating all the way around them. I know I've seen a bunch of people that they let them touch, and again, you work with your space. You do what you need to do. Do your own research. I remember how I was telling you at the beginning that each jar is going to vary on the juices based on the type of how much meat and fat is in that meat in that jar. But pretty much I'm looking at them all, and all of them have about the same amount of water, which is about right there. I'm not touching it because this thing's hot. You see how it's still bubbling? So I'm going to show you. Yay, no siphoning. Siphoning is when excess liquid comes out of the jar. One, two, three, this varies, you have no way of knowing. And it stays in the canner. And that's called siphoning. And it happens. It doesn't matter who you are, how long you've been doing it. It's just the part of what happens. So now I let this cool off. If I was strong and younger and skinnier, I'd dump this water and dump the water so it would cool off sooner. But these are made, these pressure canners are made to have water sit in there until they actually cool off, because that's just the way most people do it. Okay. And then these jars are going to stay here till you want to let them sit anywhere from 12 to 24 hours. Get them cool. And then you're going to take your rings off. I think they've already all, they must have all popped while they were in the canner, because I don't hear no pop, 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 pop. Sometimes they pop in the canner, sometimes they pop and they come out here. You just never know. But in the morning, we'll bring you back on that. To that next phase, but basically all we're going to do is take the rings off, make sure that they've all got a seal, and you'll be able to push. I'm not touching it because they're hot. I touched it just now because it was my fingernail, but I'm not going to do any more than that. Then you get a wet soapy towel and you wipe the entire jar and the ring. Label your product. Make sure you always label your product with at least with the month and the year, or at least the year that you canned the item. Okay, so that way you'll know when you go back to your pantry, you'll know what the product is. So we've got 3 meals right here, because it's going to take 2 jars for me and hubby to have a decent meal. Now, if I was just doing tacos, we probably would need 4 of these jars, which we could have done the quart jars. But again, I didn't know how much meat it was going to take, that one roast was going to make. So now I know, so I'm going to add that to my recipe, that big pound of roast made 6 wide mouth pint jars. So this is pretty much it, but I will bring you back in the morning because this is a thorough pressure canning project, and I want to show you from the beginning to the end of what you want to do, but I just explained to you just now what you do. So tomorrow morning I'll bring you back and we'll show you that phase. We'll be back.